Yo, what's up, everybody? So today I want to talk about DM Kimera. Before that, though, I want to talk to you guys about why it took me so long to make another deck profile or even do a solo discussion video. I know I spoke about this at least on Twitter. I might have done it on Blue Sky as well. Don't remember if I mentioned it in a video or not, but the laptop that I was previously using to edit my videos broke. The fan specifically broke, and it's one of the combination fan and heatsink deals. It's a laptop from 2017 that I've been fixing as I needed to over the years. And I was like, you know what? I am reaching repairs that are about half the cost of the thing. So instead of swapping this out, I'm just going to buy a new device. Additionally, last year I mentioned that I got a desktop because a friend of mine, he upgraded his stuff and he was like, oh yeah, just take this. So I had to buy a couple of parts, but I never put it together until about a month ago because he had the CPU. I was initially just going to buy one myself, but he was like, oh, don't worry about doing that because I have an extra one. I just have to dig it out. And because the laptop was fine, I was like, all right, well, don't worry about it. Don't rush. Whenever we manage to hang out again, I'll just pick it up. And we ended up not being able to do that, mostly because of my work. And then I got sick. A couple of people in my family passed. So I think like 2 specifically after I got back, but there was some people earlier in the year. But all of that just coalesced into me having a lot more work to do, a lot of things I was assisting with. And then also just taking care of my own health because I had a last minute thing pop up as well. None of it was really dangerous. So I don't want to suggest that it was, but I came out of the situation with a laptop from 2011 that I already had. I was able to refurbish it. Basically, I need to swap the screen out because it's very difficult to use any of the editing software that I have currently. I can adjust the size of the tracks, but the actual default display of it is kind of difficult to use because the screen's resolution is 1366 by 768 or something like that. So I'll have to swap the screen out eventually when I can find one that will fit. But I can still use that for work, so that's cool at least. Then I have the busted up laptop. I'm just gonna keep using it till it dies because why not? For work related things. And then I have the new one that I can edit on. I can actually run a couple of games that I couldn't run before as well. And then I have the desktop where I can do more heavy editing on once I am even more comfortable with the programs that I have access to. So yeah, the Gaiomon and Galacticmon videos will still be delayed though because I've been doing a write-up on Note for both of them, and I've been contemplating sharing my personal spreadsheet. It's not the most comprehensive, but it had a couple of important things, so I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with that. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's talk about Kimera. We're going to lead off with the card itself because it's pretty much the centerpiece here. The way I built the deck is based on how this card functions. So, Meramon is a 10 cost, 10k DP body that digivolves on any color level 4 for a cost of 5 with rush and security attack +1. On play, when digivolving, may place 1 level 4 or lower DM trait Digimon card from your trash as its top Digivolution card, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the same color as any of its Digivolution cards. Then, trying to focus on it. If it has 6 or more colors in its Digivolution cards, instead you get to delete one of each of your opponent's Digimon with different colors. So I think the only way off the dome you could get white in its sources is by digivolving on top of an Chaosmon. I feel like I might be forgetting another white level 4, but that's like the main thing. So it's not likely you'd be able to get all 7, but it could happen. I mean, even in that situation, you wouldn't get all 7. You'd have a limited subset unless we get a white DM trait Digimon in the future, which is relevant because the all turns effect gives it +1 KDP for each color in its Digivolution cards. Then it has Assembly 7, allowing you to shove 7 level 4 DM trait Digimon cards with different names to reduce this guy's cost by 7, so you can play it for 3, be a rush body, and swing at the opponent for 2 checks. So as a consequence, when I was building this deck, I tried to make sure I could get as many colors as possible in while also having a decent variety of names. As a consequence of this, the overall card quality of the deck isn't as high as it could be, and that is something that I do find a bit frustrating in a number of game states. but we'll just talk about it as we go. So first up, I am running 6 red cards, split like this, and 6 blue, which is just 3 Gabu, 3 Guru. So half the level 3s, I'm running 10 total, just have the training effect, so you can tap them to shove the card from the top of your deck under them, and this is relevant because of effects like Guru that scale based on the number of face down cards in your Digivolution cards. So just to look at Guru first, for each face down Digivolution card it has, when you do its effect, you get to trash any one Digivolution card from your opponent's Digimon. You get to pick multiple. So like when I first took this to locals, I believe my round 1 was against Kaguya. It was my round 1 and round 2 were Kaguya and Royal Knights. I just don't remember what the order was because it was like last year. But I was able to use this to rip out the protection inheritable from under Kaguya, and then I was able to delete multiple bodies with Kimera. So my opponent just had to deal with the fact that their bodies were going to be deleted. They couldn't do anything to me retaliatorily. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I mean, there were a couple of instances where I did just like play into it because I wanted to get some on deletion effects that we have under the other level 4s. But it's fine. I'm running 5 searchers as well. 3 are Gabumon, 2 are Patamon. We'll get to the Patamon later, but they basically do the same thing. Reveal top 3. You get to add 1 DM trait card to the hand and then place a card with the relevant version. So since this is a version 2 card, you place a version 2 card under it. This is mandatory. So if you see 2 or 3 version 2 cards in the top 3, one of them has to go under this no matter what you do. It's usually beneficial, but sometimes it can be a bit frustrating. Same thing for the Pata. Pata can shove and potentially will end up shoving the Kimera. It can be a benefit, it can be a detriment, but really depends on the circumstance. So you need to be mindful with what you grab when you search with these cards. One thing that was a little frustrating about the Gabumon and Giromon is the jamming. Oftentimes it's useful, but if you're trying to get enough level 4s into the trash to do the assembly for Kimera, this can inhibit you from doing that, even if you're able to chip away at your opponent, because sometimes you don't really want to be chipping away at your opponent, you know? So I'll put this here. Raid is just a really good keyword. It lets you get rid of bodies, especially in matchups where you're playing against something monocolored, because you have a much rougher time dealing with that than you might initially expect. Tuskmon is here because of the timing more so than anything. Having the ability to flex between when digivolving and when attacking is really, really good. I haven't been in that many situations where the pop mattered. There were a few, just getting rid of a floodgate that prevents like play cost reduction, like Cyclomon. But for the most part, this is not something I usually keep in my hand. Like usually, you know, if I see both, I will keep one just to be safe. But yeah, it's here for the inheritable and the timing on its when digivolving effect, because you can choose to use it when you digivolve, or you can hold off on it so you can attack, which is relevant because of the Digitalmon I'm running, which is the Sunomon here. So I know I'm going kind of out of order, but I think it's just easier to explain like this. So the Sunomon, when face down Digivolution cards are placed in its Digivolution cards, you can Digivolve into a version 2 trait Digimon with the cost reduced by 1. It has to be from hand, but the reason this matters to have is because one of the cards that really helps you get there in the first place is this Skull Greymon. It's treated as a level 4 for Chimeramon's assembly and the assembly only, so you cannot shove it with the on-play / when digivolving effect. You mill cards based on the number of its face down Digivolution cards, so another reason you'd want to tap your cards in the raising for the training. And then on deletion, you may play a level 4 or lower DM trait Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. This is something you can do for the inheritable as well, which is why it's really, really important to have this under Kimera most of the time. Depends on matchup a bit, but usually it's pretty good value. So yeah, that's the red stuff. I guess Greymon's here because it gives DP, so you can go up to 18k without any outside influences. If you're running something like what's it called? Why am I having a hard time? File Island, you can scale up further, but Kimera doesn't do that inherently because it doesn't place anything face down, so do have to be mindful of that. One quirk of the cards that only have a when attacking effect is that instead of shoving from your hand, they shove from the top of the deck, which again can be a bit of a gamble. Usually it's beneficial because this deck in particular does have the capability to recycle stuff. So that's nice. Let's see. Next we'll do yellow and green. So again, 2 Pata, as mentioned before, already went over that card. Then we have Seadramon, Angemon, and Unimon. So Seadramon is like the Giromon. It can scale up to a really high DP reduction, so there are some matchups where this card is just amazing. But I don't think I used it all that often to stack up crazy DP minus. Usually it'll only be like 3k or so. The Angemon is the more important bit. I think I was initially running 2 Unimon. I don't really know why I was doing that, but the Angemon is so good because it gives an opponent's Digimon minus security attack. So against Royal Knights, for example, a lot of the time their removal will be deletion based. So if they go into Omni X and you lose bodies, well, that has security attack minus now and it won't be able to end the game. So really good card. Also let you heal. Not much else to say. Unimon can scale up to heal you further, because Angemon only heals you on its own deletion if you have 3 or fewer security. So this can be a way to kind of bulk up. So having this on top of the Gabumon with jamming and just being able to swing and stack up cards repeatedly and just heal in some matchups can be really good, but I feel like this is a card that just doesn't come up too much. The DP reduction is kind of nice, especially if you're raiding into a body that is bigger than you. You can bring something that's 20k down to 18 while you're 18 and trade. But yeah, I haven't really felt it was super necessary. The barrier from Patamon was generally more useful, which you also get from the Seadramon. Then for green, we got the 2 Coelamon, 2 Kokatorimon, a Coelamon, and a Darkdramon. I really would like to run another Coelamon because the when attacking timing is just really, really nice. You can evo this in the back and just go off. But yeah, we have 3 piercing inheritables, 2 when attacking, suspend an opponent's Digimon, but then both Coelamon and Kabuteri work the same. Just both of them are on play. Kabuteri is when digivolving, this is when digivolving when attacking. Sorry, on play when attacking. You place a card in your hand face down, and your opponent's Digimon gets suspended, and then it can't unsuspend in the next unsuspend phase. You don't get the full, like, you can't unsuspend at all, so you have to be really, really mindful with what your opponent can do throughout the course of their turn, so you wouldn't be able to fully disable a Vortex, for example, right? It can gain immunity anyway, so, you know. But, gotta be mindful. This card's really nice. On play when digivolving, you may place 1 card in your hand face down as its bottom Digivolution card, and then for each of its face down Digivolution cards, suspend 1 of your opponent's Digimon, then 1 of your Digimon may attack your opponent's Digimon. So, this can potentially be a full board suspend, allowing your bodies, if you have multiple, to just swing into your opponent's bodies, which is really, really cool. Oh boy, what else do we have? Yes, purple. So I'm on 4 copies of Skull Gray and 3 of these other level 4s. Skull Gray, we already went over, so not really worried about that. This thing can potentially delete anything with a level. It just scales up forever. You might want to run a 2nd copy of this because I believe you could resolve a 2nd instance of retaliation when your body has been deleted, like force an opponent to use a protection against 1 instance and then resolve the 2nd to delete the body, right? Yeah, because Gamma can have multiple instances of this, I believe. Just because of the copy effects. This pops a 4 and then it has a filter when attacking effect. So I have it more for the inheritable, and then this pops a 4 on the inheritable when you're deleted, while also being filter on board, which is very, very necessary, just so you get to your game plan in time. Then we have black. Black is only 4 cards because black just doesn't really have much to use currently. Sukamon and Raremon are the same. They have these end of your turn Digivolution effects. You can use Sukamon to go into Kimera, but I would prefer not to do that because like the best case scenario is basically ending my turn by doing this and then digivolving and gaining some memory back off of Analog Youth to offset the fact I'm giving my opponent at least 6 memory. Against the TS decks, it's fine to some degree, but yeah, overall, this card isn't amazing. Raremon is a pick due to the on deletion, at least this way. I also have 3 instances of blocker inheritable, but Monochromon is actually pretty good. On play when attacking, place 1 card to de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. If you're running Protein, the blue option, you can actually unsuspend this and do it again because it's not once per turn, since many of the effects that you have access to are actually once per turn. Tamer-wise, I am on 4 copies of Analog Youth. Running 1 Analog Man. I kind of want to run a 4th copy, but a lot of the time in my testing, it didn't come up too much. Like, it's nice having 2 to have it at a higher frequency, simply because this lets you immediately shove a card under Kimera. The draw and memory gain is not conditional like Analog Youth, which can matter. You'd prefer to resolve these before you resolve this, of course, because the draw is based on you having 7 or less cards in hand. But yeah, one thing that's also really nice about Analog Youth, regardless of what DM build you're playing, is the reboot portion there on the opponent's turn effect is not like trait based. It just works as long as you have face down Digivolution cards. So you could do something like running the version 2 deck with Vademon and then just have whatever top end that makes sense, anything that can digivolve on top of it, have reboot thanks to the Tamer. And that for a lot of decks is harder to interact with than just, you know, stripping a source or something. So it's pretty nice. Options wise, I am running 1 meat. Currently I'm running the 1 meat because I don't have 2 copies of the Millenniumon, which we'll talk about momentarily, and then I'm running 4 copies of Insane Synthetic Monster. Draw 2, trash 2, and then the main effect will let you pop a 7 play cost or lower Digimon to play a card with Meramon or Millenniumon in its trash. In your trash. I don't want to say it in its trash. From your trash, with the play cost reduced by 3, which will make Chimeramon free, and Millenniumon will go down to 5 cost, I believe, because it assemblies for 6, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Now, Millennium here, if I can get a less offensive angle, bro. All right, there we go. So reboot blocker, it digivolves on Kimera for a cost of 6, which is actually not that bad in some contexts. On play when digivolving, digivolve 2 of your opponent's Digimon, then you can delete 1 Digimon, or you may delete 1 Digimon rather. It can delete itself, as I'm sure many of you are aware, because this is very heavily used in the Millenniumon deck. And then on deletion, by returning 3 Composite, Wicked God, or DM trait cards from your trash to the bottom of the deck, you may play 2 level 6 or lower Composite version 3 or version 5 trait Digimon cards from your trash. So, of course, this can play Kimera, which is huge, because this can digivolve something, and then that can pop something. You could actually leave this on board and force them to, you know, have to deal with this. It dies, it floats into that on their turn. You get a whole bunch of value. It's really, really nice. But the thing that's one thing actually that's really, really good about this, you did not have a way to get your Tamers back into the deck if you randomly shoved them under, or if you had to shove them under your cards for their costs. So this is really nice. You could potentially play them out if your opponent hit Foul Island, but as you can see, I'm not currently running Foul Island, and while I do think I could make space for it, I really would need to, I would need to sit down and do a hypergeometric calculator thing again, because the ratios in this deck are really, really precarious. Though I believe it's a bit easier now also, just because we have this as a filter card. But yeah, so one thing that's a little frustrating about this is you don't have that many other cards that are really good to play off of it, right? Because this is version 4, and this is like one of the best cards that you could be playing. This is version 3, but it doesn't really do anything immediately. This is version 5, same deal. And then when we go through here, version 5, version 3. These are version 1 and version 2, so we are not worried about those. And here, 3, 5, 3, 3, 5, and that's it. So if you want to get on play value off of the Millennium, the best things you have in theme are the Patamon, the Dark Tyranno, which does work on your turn but doesn't work on the opponent's turn. So like actually popping Millennium on your own turn when you have access to this is really, really nice. Potentially you don't get to put this under the Kimera because of the on deletion, but it's potentially still worth it. But yeah, the rest of these are just kind of whatever. Like they're circumstantially useful. You can also digivolve into a second Kimera with the Suka, which could be value, but again, you're giving your opponent crazy memories, so your mileage may vary on how good this is in the first place. The deck isn't the best at dealing with wide boards just because of not really having a tool for that. So you could run something like Crimson Blaze. But overall, I've been having a lot of fun with the deck. I just hope that we get more cards in the future for it, because like this is based on one of the toys you can get, like the Tamagotchi style things that we have going on. It's called the Digimon Pendulum Color, I believe. And the Digimon Pendulum Color, one moment. There are a number of Digimon that we do not have yet with the DM trait that are on the roster for the Digimon Pendulum Color. So I'm hoping that we could potentially get the rest of those Digimon in the future. For example, one of them is a Deltamon, and Deltamon has so far relatively consistently been supporting the composite trait. So don't really know exactly what it'll do, of course. I have no guesses, but I'm hoping it'll be something that directly supports Kimera and Millenniumon. Maybe even be a dual color card to make hitting your color threshold a bit easier.